Now let's tackle the biggest issue at the COP28, climate financing. The most pressing concern, who will pay for the green pivot? How do you fund the transition to green energy? The developing world needs money, more financial support and more resources to make the shift. But the developed world is not bringing the funds to the table. They make promises and they break them. Today is just day 2, as you know, and we already have a new proposal, something called the Debt for Nature Swaps. What does that mean? It's basically a financial agreement where a country's national debt is forgiven in exchange for protecting the environment. And who is backing this idea? The world's top multilateral development banks like the World Bank, the European Investment Bank and the Asian Development Bank. Reports say they're preparing to launch a task force. And what will this force do? Scale up the debt for nature swaps. Reports say the plans are yet to be firmed up. We'll have to wait till Monday to hear the specifics, but serious discussions are happening. So how will this debt swap work? Let me explain. Say you're a country in debt. You took a loan from a multilateral lender, but you're unable to pay. You decide to avail this debt swap. Here is how it will work. Your lender will bring in a buyer. It could be another country or an environmental organization. They will buy up your debt, but at a discount. So your debt is not all forgiven, but the overall loan burden will reduce. After the transaction is completed, your old bonds will be replaced with new ones. And these new bonds will be different. They will have new terms and conditions, hard commitments on protecting the environment, like the conservation of barrier reefs, rainforests, or other precious habitats. So like any honest debtor, you'll have to fulfill the new terms, pour more money into environmental projects and meet the new loan requirements. So if you're not investing in climate change, your new lenders will make you do it. They'll force you to do it. But is this even viable? The supporters of this strategy say this swap is a powerful tool. It gives debt relief while fighting climate change. That's their argument. But would countries with fragile economies, like Sri Lanka for instance, agree to this? With their limited foreign exchange reserves and their dependence on bailouts? Put yourself in their shoes. If you are in financial distress, where will you spend your money? Towards your survival or fighting climate change? The debt swap is a novel idea. Some countries have tried it as well, like Ecuador and Belize. But these deals have had a limited impact, and the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, agrees. Consider what they said last year. A swap cannot restore solvency to a debtor country unless it involves a sufficiently large share of a country's debt and substantial relief. So far, no swap has come close to achieving this. And that's an indictment. Clearly, these swaps won't be enough. And honestly, they are a distraction from the real issue here, the lack of climate financing. Rich countries have done little on this front, like the United States, Canada, Japan, and countries in Europe. They have 12% of the world's population, but in the past 170 years, they have released more than 50% of all greenhouse gases. Clearly, they need to fund the green transition. They did promise to give $100 billion every year, but they aren't paying up. Let me show you an estimate from 2020. Instead of 100 billion, they spent about 24 billion, not even 25% of the promised sum. How will they fill this gap? They're offering debt swaps, planning to fight climate change with more loans. The developing world should not fall for this trap. They must unite and compel rich countries to put their money where their mouth is.